Welcome in, everybody, to a new side of the Pocket Aces podcast. We're going to do something a little bit different here today with all the time at home. Figured why not give something new a try? We're going to continue the podcast, of course, but this will be a new side of the Pocket Aces podcast. We're going to watch me play some online poker, so sit on back and enjoy. And going to be playing on Poker Stars here. This is not live. This is like a pre-recorded session from earlier today. So we're going to see how this goes. I really like to play on Poker Stars. I think Poker Stars is one of the best out there. So we're going to buy into a 15-30 game, a 15-cent 30-set game. Uh, it's the perfect buy-in for me for what I prefer. So, really, what I do prefer to watch. Sorry, not watch, to play. So, it doesn't take very long for the action to get started here for me. But I just wanted to, of course, we're playing on an iPad here. So this was a pretty good session overall. Got off to a rocky start, but finished out strong. So. Really excited to show this all to you. So it's going to start right here on this hand. We get dealt out ace 10, and I'm on the button here, so I decided, you know what, let's bring it up, just 3x, the usual, I would say, standard bet for being on the button. Ace 10 offsuit is not exactly a favorite hand for me, but we've got the position being on the button, so I believe there's two callers behind here on this one. I don't quite remember off the top of my head, but we'll see how it plays out. I had a couple different hands with the person to my left. So kind of a interesting board. There is two diamonds on board, so I throw out a continuation bet just again with the, first to act just to play. So the 8 comes out and he keeps checking back at me. So I'm kind of sitting here at this point thinking to myself, okay, what do we do? In this situation, I'm trying to think of where he's at. So I check back just to see again where he's at. So he's first to act here on this one. And at this point, I know I only have the ace high. So he's checking back again. So I'm thinking maybe he doesn't have much of anything. I mean, of course, there's a chance here that I'm going to lose to, maybe an ace and a better kicker than he has. But he ends up turning over pocket 7. So not a great start. But then we jump right back into it here in the next hand, ace jack offsuit. So in the cutoff. So I just decided to call here on this one. So I just call on the cutoff with more to come, with still some more behind me, I should say. So 8-8-4 comes up on the flop, and I'm in position here to try to take control of this hand. Not necessarily early, but I decided to just check on the flop just to see where we are. This hand didn't play out exactly as I would have liked it to. But at this point, I get two checks on the flop and the turn, so I'm going to put a small bet out here and see what happens, and I get, two folds. So, two hands in a row, pretty decent there. Or, sorry, that hand pretty decent, I should say. And then the next hand, getting dealt ace-king. So, I decide to raise here. And, I mean, it's kind of a middle-ish position, given that it's only six-handed. So, boring board comes up in a heads-up situation. Another 9 comes up here on the turn, so we're kind of just checking back and forth here to this point. He checks back. I decide to go 30. He folds, so we take that one down pretty easily. And then the next hand, I get dealt queen 10, and I think about it for a little bit of time, but then I decided, ultimately let's just fold this one out here. That's three hands in a row, 2 out of 3 taking it down. So we continue on, not necessarily. At one point, I felt in this session like I was card dead. It comes a little later on, so gonna just kind of scoot on through here, fast forward through. So, going back to my earlier comment, I think Poker Stars is one of the easiest poker apps out there. So it's my favorite. It's very easy to use on the iPad, on desktop, on laptops and things like that. So this isn't a hand that I played in, but I wanted to just show you, slow it down here a little bit and see how crazy this one turned out. So 3 kings on the flop and then an ace on the turn. And I could tell these 3 were very hesitant here to play this hand out because no one knew who had the king. So I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you'll eventually see how this one plays out. So This gentleman here raises to 4-7. Gentleman, I can't say gentleman for sure because we don't know. It is online poker. We get the call, but he does have the king, so quad kings. So anyway, this next hand is another good one. This was one of the best hands that I thought I had in this session. So we're dealt pocket queens in the big blind. So it comes to me. I decide to bump it up a little bit since I only have the one call, the limp raise behind, the limp call behind me, I should say. So I get a check from behind. I then put the 60-cent bet out. And actually, I just got ahead of myself. This is not the hand I thought I had. So, again, I'm in a position here where I'm kind of just seeing what comes up. 5, dud cards. So I get the pocket queens. Was hoping for that, that gut shot there. And eventually I took that one down. So that was a nice way to get back into it and then, go through some hands here. So this is going to be something that I'm going to try to do separate from the podcast. This is going to get uploaded on YouTube since it's an actual video. Obviously, it would be kind of pointless to upload this as a podcast episode. But we're gonna do this once this quarantine stuff breaks. I'm gonna try to do some videos of like our home games. Maybe put up some live videos of our home games. Just to kind of the same thing. Maybe get Sean to come over. We'll do some online poker together. And maybe we'll do that live. So anyway, here in the big blind again, Ace Queen, and Ace Queen is one of my favorite hands. For some reason, it just always seems to work out, and it does here. So I decided to just check in the big blind, and then I decided to check here, figuring I'm in a good spot. I didn't want to necessarily slow roll him, but I wanted to try to get as much value as I could. So I finally decided to put the bet out after the flop. I checked, he bet, I called, and then I bet next. So now we're at this point here. I finally have a boat, and I'm betting here, and I think he's, a part of me was afraid that I was so blind to the fact that maybe he had a queen and something else. Maybe he hit one of the other cards on the board, but we ended up taking that one down. So obviously that 9 coming up on the turn there really seemed to made me feel a little bit better. So this hand here, I just put in because this is a situation where I was in this because I was the big blind and we're pretty much checking back and forth. He checked and then I put a small bet out. He called. I basically at this point here, I'm waiting for him to just put anything out after I check here. Any bet here gets me to fold. He puts out $1.28 and I just decide to toss that away because pretty much that's not a battle of the blinds, but that's just a battle of checking back and forth. So anyway, this is a hand here that I was not too terribly fond of, but I think I played it all right. So I was second to act basically, and I raised to 90 cents with pocket queens once again. So we get a couple people that think about it, but then it comes back to me and this person to my left here who I had a couple different showdowns with. So I decided to put a bet out here, a C bet, just after the flop. And then I get a call. And now I'm starting to think of what he could potentially, what could go on here. So I decide to check back, seeing as he's called me the whole way. He then places a bet here. And I kind of go into the tank a little bit here thinking about this. I'm thinking, does he have a king? Does he have a 10? And he thinks he's, at this point I have him on a 10. I'm in a situation where I know he at least has a 10. Does he have a king? Is he trying to make it seem like he has a king? For whatever reason, I let that first bank go, and then I get to the 30-second time bank, and I don't know what got me to do it, but I decided to just call totally on a whim. And luckily, pure luck, as you'll see, I type in right here, the queen gives me the set on the river. So I decide to check, thinking, let's see what he does. He puts out the bet, and I snap call, and he did have king 10, so I got really lucky there. And I think that's a situation where if I don't have a set there on the fly, if I'm folding there if anything other than that queen comes up, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it. That's not a hand I was very happy with the way I played it. But it is what it is. So, and you'll see here, we kind of go back and forth. He gives me the nice hand, and then I say thank you, and then I kind of type back in pure luck. That's what it is. It's just pure luck that that queen came up. So, you'll see me type in here pure luck. So anyway, we scoot on through some more hands, and then we come up to another one here. So king, queen of diamonds. I'm on the button. I get a raise behind me, so kind of like a middle position raise. So I decide to just call it. So kind of a pairish board. So I get the 2 checks behind me. So I'm thinking that maybe I'm in decent shape with the king. So I decide to just, as you can see, I went back and forth there, and I decided to just check in the end. So dud 6 comes up, and in this situation, I'm thinking at this point, we'll see what they do. We get checks behind me, so I don't think anyone has much of anything at this point. So I decide to put out a small bet. It was about half, I think. It was a little more than half the pot, I think it was, and they got the 2 folds behind. So to this point, really happy with the way the session's gone. Overall, it was a little over 45 minutes. So we're coming down to some of the last hands that I play in here. So this one's dealt ace queen, and I'm in the big blind. So I get the 2 calls behind me, and I decide, what do I do here? What is my persona at the table thus far? So what would people be seeing me as so far? Would I be considered loose, aggressive? So the 8, 9, 10 rainbow, so a very, straighty board comes up. So the bet comes out after I check. I decide to call for whatever reason, I don't know. Probably for the gut shot with the jack if it comes out. So I'm waiting to see what these guys would do here. So we get the check. He checks back, and then the ace comes up. So at this point, I'm thinking maybe I'm good. I mean, if there's a pocket pair out there that didn't hit on a set for the 8, 9, or 10, I'm thinking at this rate, the way it went behind me, I've got to be pretty decent. So they both fold, and I take that down. So we play on here. Eventually, I would like to try to do this live, or at least do the voiceover while playing live. I think that would be kind of cool. So pretty much at this point, I think there's only one hand left. I think I got about 60 to 70 hands in this session overall. I didn't keep 100% count, but I didn't keep complete count of everything. I try not to. I didn't even really go back and look, but I think it was about 45 minutes or so of the session, so. And at this point, you're going to see I'm pretty happy with it. So that's where it all comes out to end. And I dropped it there at, $33.99. So in for 15, out for $33.99. So a pretty good session overall. Really happy with that. The way it came out. Started out rocky, but not not a bad finish when you can more than double what you started with. So overall, I'm happy with it. And obviously, you have to take it one step at a time, but you can book that as a win. So that'll do it here on the first ever take of the Pocket Aces podcast. Online poker edition, we'll call it. We'll have to come up with some kind of cool name for it, but hope you enjoyed. As always, check us out on Facebook, and feel free to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. We'll see you next time.